Hello everybody, Senior Engineer MBA and investor. In today's video, I want to talk about the latest data released from Intellia Therapeutics on their next program, NTLA 2002. For the first time ever, we now have gotten data for NTLA 2002, and I'm so excited to jump into this video because this is something a lot of us have been waiting. I mean, we've all seen what NTLA was able to do with their first program, which is, of course, NTLA 2001. But now NTLA 2002 is a different type of program because, one, it is fully owned by the company, and two, it's a different disease, right? It's still going through the liver there, the liver organ. It's still the in vivo approach, one-time treatment, but again, fully owned, and there is no CRISPR company right now that can, and that would be able to provide great data for 2 consecutive programs. Even CRISPR Therapeutics have not been able to do that. So let's take a look at their presentation here. And of course, I think it was all around the news there yesterday. Unfortunately, I've just been busy, guys. I was at a trade show this past week. I was actually in Atlanta, which I might give a few comments at the end of this video. But anyways, relating to this particular presentation from NTLA, going back into this, basically, of course, I want to go to NTLA 2002, what it's all about. I don't have to talk about NTLA 2001, and you guys already know how successful it is. But NTLA 2002 is the one we want to take a look at. So first of all, just as a reminder, they're targeting a specific gene for HAE attacks. And HAE attacks are very, very serious. In fact, you can have one every 7 to 14 days, swelling, painful, it's really bad. As you can see here, right? So this is actually very easy to track in terms of like pre-dosing and after dosing, right? If pre-dosing, you have all these attacks, and after dosing, after a significant period, if you keep having those attacks, then obviously the dosing failed, or at least did not have the impact you were looking for. But if you can reduce the amount of attacks and ultimately put that to 0 number of attacks, then obviously this is something that the dosing is responsible for, right? So that's what they're tracking here. So looking at here, obviously there's phase 1, phase 2. They've already defined phase 1 dosing. So for 3, there's 6 total patients data we have. For 3 patients, they have 75 milligrams, and for the other 3, they have 25 milligram. And then what they ended up designing is 50 milligram for phase 2. If I recall, if I looked at my data there, phase 2 will now start with a 50 milligram. This is the similar process they did with NTLA 2001. Nothing too new here. Of course, they're looking at some key criteria, and of course, we have our median numbers here, our gender, and more information. So looks like pretty generic to me. Nothing too crazy here. Again, 6 sample size is relatively small, but again, you got to start somewhere, right? So we take a look at that, right? Look at the historic monthly rate attack, 6.8 in mean values. So that means for all patients, you can expect about almost 7 attacks per month, right? That's more than once a week, guys. That's almost 2 times a week. These attacks, like I mentioned, painful, swelling, it's very significant. These are not things you just, can ignore. It stops everything you're doing in your daily routine. It really does messes up your life, right? And that's what this program is trying to reduce and eliminate. So we take a look at what the data was able to give us, right? And this is the data, guys. You take a look at the number of weeks in the x-axis, and then the y-axis, you have the percentage of plasma K reduction, right? So the idea is that over time, you had a reduction of plasma K, right, in percentage for each patient. And of course, the patients with the 75 milligrams had obviously a lot more significant reduction, right? And that's quite expected because you have a bigger dosage. In this case, it definitely had an impact, right? And that's why they're going with 50 milligram in the next phase, because clearly 25 milligrams had great results, 65% reduction. But what if you could do more? And that's what 75% was able to do. I'm just surprised they didn't stick with 75. I mean, there must be reasons there. There must be, things maybe not presented here, or maybe things I'm not aware. Maybe they just want to play it safe. But I think 50 is maybe conservative. Maybe you could just stick with 75, considering you're getting 92% here. I don't know, maybe 50 will only jump you to 70, who knows? I mean, these are questions I have on my own. But anyways, amazing data, of course. If you take a look at, the 25 milligram dosage here, basically 3 patients, you can calculate the amount of attacks they had in their screening period. This is, of course, before dosing and after a 16-week follow-up. 2 patients had literally 0 attacks, and that patient that had the most attacks dropped down to 2 attacks. And that's, of course, a significant drop. That is definitely a significant drop. That is definitely something you want to consider. I mean, you have a 91% drop of attacks. I mean, who wouldn't take this one dose treatment? Don't forget, it is a one dose treatment, and that is the lowest dosage, 25% at 25 milligrams, right? And of course, here you have another type of visual representations here. I mean, you have these mild, moderate, severe attacks. I mean, you can obviously classify them in these 3 groups. Some attacks are less worse than the others, but again, you can clearly see here that dose was done for 2 patients. You literally had no attacks, and for that patient that had a crazy amount of attacks, those attacks sort of dropped over time to become more from moderate to more, mild. Again, you still have this number of attacks that really dropped significantly. Again, we're only looking 25 milligram in this case. What if you jump it up to 50 or even 75? And what if you let this run for another 16 weeks, right? There are a couple of variables here you can play with. I think the data is amazing. I think this is great data. I think this is exactly what NTLA was maybe looking for. Now, is it a program that, are we ready to say this is a successful program and so on? In my opinion, we are. I think this is now officially the first company to have 2 successful CRISPR programs in their portfolio. And when I mean successful, I mean data that is well above average. It means data that is well controlled and data that you can sort of leverage to say, yeah, this is going to go really, really well in the following months and years. CRISPR Therapeutics sort of had a successful program with hexacellular CTX001, but with their CAR T cells program, I mean, it was sort of average or even below average in some cases. Via site program, we have yet to get any data from that. I mean, they started with the heart disease program there, so we don't have any program on those. And so it's still early for CRISPR Therapeutics to say 2 successful programs. I mean, their CAR T cells program is not that bad, actually. It's in my opinion, it's average, but I'm talking like really above average. I'm talking about like something like NTLA-2001. And now NTLA-2002 is sort of replicating that in terms of results, in terms of reductions of whatever they're trying to achieve, right? They knock out a specific gene, they're getting the desired results, and now they're fine-tuning the dosage in order to get the most optimal results. Now, again, just as a reminder, this is in vivo, so no company is doing that with this amount of success. This is, of course, a disease that is significant, and it is a one-time treatment, right? People forget this is a one-time treatment. You can even increase that to do a 2-time dosage. Now, I don't think they'll do that just because they're having amazing results, but this just gives you the idea that they can really play with a lot of variables to sort of manipulate the data there in order to have positive data, right? The idea is to get great data for their patients so that patients can be in a pain-free status or even reduce those number of attacks like we saw. So amazing results from NTLA. Again, I want to congratulate a couple of entities here. NTLA's leadership, I think they're getting the job done. I think John Ellern there has been amazing. The data has been amazing. These are 2 successful programs consecutively. I think NTLA automatically, in my opinion, becomes the #1 CRISPR company just based by this. But unfortunately, the stock price did not reflect that. I mean, the stock price dropped like 6% on Friday. But again, these are macro environments. I mean, I'm not even worried about that at this point. Second entity, I want to congratulate all the employees at NTLA. I think this is an amazing success. I think you're now working at a company that is able to basically deliver on their word, right? One program may be a fluke, maybe lucky, maybe in your favor and all sorts of things, but 2 program is not lucky, is not a fluke. This is pure skill set. This is hard work, and I want to congratulate all employees there as well as the leadership there. And of course, I want to congratulate all investors. I think a lot of investors, including myself, were really bullish on this company well before NTLA-2001, for example. And this really solidifies our thesis on in vivo. It really does solidify our thesis on this company. Well-oiled run company, great employees, and of course, getting the job done. So congratulations to everybody involved here. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about this program. I've heard some mixed reviews there, but mostly positive. Let me know in the comments, guys. So again, sorry about not making a video in the recent days, guys. I've been in Atlanta, for a trade show. It was good, relatively good fun. I'll be honest, I sort of expected Atlanta to be different. I mean, I think it's a nice city. We had some fun. I just expected to be a little bit more different. I found that the skyline was a little bit smaller than I thought. The city was maybe a lot smaller than I thought for what was told to me, but generally it was a great city. I mean, it's always good to be in US, and US is just a different ball game compared to Canada in some sense. But here I am back in Toronto, and great to be back in the city here. So hopefully you guys will be expecting a lot more videos coming forward. So do like this video, guys. If you found value, subscribe if you're not, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.